Let's talk Caitlin Clark.
Number one factor in her popularity is her ability and how entertaining she is to watch. That's why she's become internationally popular. That's why the record books have her name at the top of them.
She was remarkable, on top of the fact that she had to deal with so much hate when she got to the WNBA.
Natalie Esquire says Chelsea Gray is the best point guard in the WNBA. That hasn't changed because she has a down year returning from injury. The disrespect on her name was ridiculous.
There's been a lot of chatter out there that I ain't got it, and I'm here, man.
But is she better than Caitlin Clark? Statistically, nope.
Natalie, I believe it said last year that a compromised Chelsea Gray was 10 times better than Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark was just assaulted once more, but this time it wasn't on the court, and this wasn't a rival player elbowing you or committing a needless, egregious foul. This was a WNBA reporter. Natalie Esquire is the one who directly attacked the media. It is increasingly being used in conjunction with anti-Clark rhetoric and by narratives.
This is a WNBA reporter, people, but it's like you can't say something like this and not get called out, and she is definitely getting called out.
And she's changing course now, promoting Chelsea Gray as the league's best point guard, while utterly disregarding the real data that demonstrate otherwise.
Natalie Esquire also claimed that Caitlin Clark was stat padding. She's also a big Aces fan. When the Aces were losing and they got Chelsea Gray back and they went on a really hot streak, after one game of winning, Natalie Esquire put them from number 6 to number 1 in beating the Liberty, which obviously was not really a good take.
The pattern is the same. Minimize Caitlin Clark and boost Black characters and alter reality to suit a contentious story. But why does this? Continue. Why do we observe the same pattern of slanted media personalities declining too? To recognize Clark's supremacy and, more crucially, how to reveal these lies for what they are.
Caitlin Clark is the best point guard in the history of the WNBA already. Caitlin Clark had tied the WNBA record for most career games with 25 points and 10 assists. No one is scoring and dishing at the rate Caitlin Clark is in the history of the W.
We're going to break, so get ready. The receipts show the obvious contradiction, and Natalie Esquire is going to be humbled. Natalie Esquire has demonstrated one more that she is here to promote rather than to report facts. She brazenly declared that Chelsea Gray is the best point guard in the world as part of her latest attempt to change reality. Caitlin Clark's statistical supremacy is conveniently ignored by the WNBA. This isn't just a sports analyst voicing their viewpoint. It's a conscious attempt to diminish Clark's achievement and boost a player who lacks the statistics to support such a claim.
And Natalie Esquire is not new to putting down the efforts of Caitlin Clark and what she has accomplished in the previous season. 7 months ago, when the season was in, Natalie Esquire also claimed that Caitlin Clark was stat padding and posted this on her social media account. Are we going to be upset tonight that Caitlin tried to chase the franchise assist record when the game was already won? I have no issue with her doing it because that's normal behavior and actually what many competitors do. This was obviously in her response to a lot of people going off about Angel Reese's double-double stat padding.
The facts speak for themselves, as Caitlin Clark demonstrated during her debut professional season. 5.7 rebounds, 8.4 assists, and an incredible 19.2 points per game, while Chelsea Gray has never had those stats, not in points, assists, or rebounds, even in her greatest seasons. However, Natalie is adamant about labeling her the best, which is not only biased but dishonest, and it raises the issue of why. Does Natalie deny Caitlin Clark's accomplishments? The answer is obvious when you consider that. Throughout Clark's career, a pattern has developed whereby each time he does something noteworthy, there is always a voice attempting to minimize it, frequently from the same set of analysts. Claim she's only popular because of her race when she dominates, and they claim she's stat padding when she sets records. Headlines. And now that Clark has demonstrated statistically that she is the WNBA's finest point guard, they are rushing to come up with a fresh story.
Let's get into the stat. Best point guard in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark. In her one professional season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark came away with an average of 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds for the season. Let's check out Chelsea Gray's stats. Chelsea Gray averaged 8.6 points, 2.9 rebounds, and 4.9 assists. But let's check out the year before. She did average 15.3 points a game, not bad, right? She averaged 4 rebounds and 7.3 assists. Still is not better than Caitlin Clark's averages. There is not one year where she averaged more points than Caitlin Clark. There is not one year where she averaged more assists than Caitlin Clark.
Rather of confronting the reality that Clark is just that good, they changed their topic of conversation to Chelsea Gray, a player who, despite her talent, she lacks the data to back up the assertion that she is the best. This is not an analysis, but rather an agenda, which is precisely what Natalie Esquire is doing. She isn't examining the game's statistics or analyzing it. Fairly, she is promoting a story that helps one player group while discrediting another that she doesn't want to. Discuss how Caitlin Clark broke the record for the most games with 25.10 assists, which she doesn't. Want to admit that Clark's rookie season was better than many of the league's veterans, but she doesn't want to acknowledge that Clark is already among the most influential players the WNBA has ever had from an offensive perspective. Instead, she seeks to fabricate a scenario in which athletes like Chelsea Gray are granted unmerited praise in order to keep Clark from receiving the credit she merits.
There's been a lot of chatter out there that I ain't got it, and I'm here, man. So, quiet the noise and keep playing my game. Having fun and doing it. I enjoy this game and I love it so much. So, playing with them all the time and they got my back, so having fun.
Not only that, but Natalie Esquire has made a concerted effort to discredit Caitlin Clark, accusing her of inflating her statistics after she broke a franchise months ago. Assist record. Natalie attempted to portray Clark as self-centered rather than praising her capacity to improve her squad. If she wasn't playing the game at an elite level but rather was pursuing stats for her own benefit, then when Angel Reese aggressively pursued a double-double in order to set a rookie record, but Natalie was silent and uncritical. Quiet without inquiry. The double standard is obvious and reveals the true intent behind her statements. The issue is not only that Natalie is incorrect, but also that she is affecting how Caitlin Clark is viewed by the media and casual fans.
He was asked about Caitlin Clark.
Coach Krzyzewski, listen to what he said.
Yeah, well, she's terrific. And it'd be easy to build something on her because she's the best thing she does is pass. She's a magical passer and she has a great feel for the game. So, I mean, what her coach did, I would have done exactly what she did. Make sure she handles the ball a lot and she'll make everybody better. And what I was amazed with at how she's handled all the defenses. And then when she got into the WNBA, some of the negativity that was out there or jealousies. And I think she's just been remarkable. She's a really good basketball player. Yeah.
When a journalist with a platform propagates lies, which affects how opponents, referees, and even other people treat Clark, analysts, we have already witnessed Clark becoming the target of insulting taunts, harsh fouls, and obvious elbows on the field. Behavior from off-court analysts like Natalie and players who appear to harbor personal animosity towards her. Esquire is trying to deny her the recognition she deserves, but no matter how much they try, the truth never lies. Despite Natalie's best efforts, she is unable to change the facts or the data that show Caitlin Clark in. She has already established herself as a top-tier talent in just her first season.
For me, if Rookie of the Year was picked today, I give it to Angel. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that player set it. If Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be.
I set the record in 5 games, right?
Yeah.
Because back then, we had a first-round bye. So we didn't get to play, I didn't get that 6 games. So I set the record in 5 games.
Took her extra game.
Well, I'm just saying.
You can say that.
No, listen. If I have 6 games,
the record's different.
well, I'm gonna have another 30. But I don't really care what the record is, who has the record.
She is unable to remove the Clark's influence on the WNBA has resulted in record-breaking income, ticket sales, and viewership. That was fighting for public recognition prior to her arrival. Natalie may attempt to deny these facts, but they refuses to disappear.
Now Caitlin Clark has been getting comparisons to the most famous person in the world at this point in time, Taylor Swift. White was giving a comparison to the star status of Caitlin Clark, and she stated this precisely. She said, quote, "She's incredibly humble. She understands the big picture. So she views it understanding her celebrity. She's a Midwest kid, a Midwest person, and she is who she is. She tries to live her life in an authentic way, but she's very much Taylor Swift 2.0.
Her sole accomplishment is revealing herself as a prejudiced analyst who declines to. Caitlin Clark doesn't require Natalie's blessing to accept excellence when it manifests in a way she doesn't want to. Be excellent. She has demonstrated this on the court, with her staff, and with her leadership and skills, to improve not only her team but the league as a whole, despite the repeated attempts of pundits like Natalie Esquire. The facts of the story will never change. Thus, Caitlin Clark is. Nothing they say will ever alter the fact that she is the WNBA's top point guard.
WNBA has never even been talked about in the past. So now to say that you have somebody whose celebrity is as mainstream and as Taylor Swift, that is actually incredible if you think about it.
The biased reporting of Natalie Esquire is not an isolated occurrence, but if we look a little closer, we can see that it's a part of a bigger pattern that has been developing for months. Natalie believes that this goes beyond her personal distaste for Caitlin Clark. Continuously supported A.L. Wilson, a player who has made it clear that she thinks black athletes ought to be in the forefront of the WNBA's success and popularity, but they're not. Speculation abounds in her interactions, remarks, and the way she picks and selects who to back, whom to demolish.
She hasn't just had a major impact on the WNBA. She's had a major impact on the entire city of Indianapolis. Dr. Ryan Brewer calculated that Clark has made the city of Indianapolis $36 million in her rookie season. The calculation showed that Clark contributed to 26.5% of the WNBA's economic activity this season. If pay raises are in order, Caitlin Clark needs to be the first one getting a pay raise.
When Caitlin Clark is not playing on the court, started garnering widespread attention, A.A. Wilson was among the first to make disparaging remarks that minimized Clark's popularity by suggesting that her whiteness was the only factor contributing to it, not her skill, and who was present to. Natalie Esquire is the one who should protect and spread Wilson's message, so let's not. Remember how Wilson publicly expressed her displeasure with the way the media portrayed Caitlin Clark months ago?
She drew a WNBA record, 1.84 million viewers to her first playoff game against the Connecticut Sun. And the reason that this is important because this game took place on an NFL Sunday. To know that she did this up against NFL competition also speaks volumes. So after she was eliminated, the ratings nowhere close to what the WNBA experienced with Caitlin Clark on the court. They drew an audience of 929,000 according to ESPN. That's 50% less audience members than the Fever's game one against the Sun. We have seen a tremendous drop-off when Caitlin Clark is not on the court.
Wilson implied that race was a significant factor in Clark's popularity rather than admitting that her game was the main source of it. In the reasons why Clark was receiving attention, but this reasoning breaks down when reality sets in. Clark's ascent to stardom didn't. She unexpectedly earned it by shattering NCAA records, putting on incredible performances, and introducing women's basketball to millions of new viewers on their own, but instead of acknowledging Clark's influence, Wilson attempted to change the narrative into something new with the help of Natalie and other supporters.
Caitlin Clark's popularity is tied to her whiteness. What Nike and Caitlin Clark are known for as of right now is the fact that they have set on Caitlin Clark as what is their most valuable asset. How great would Asia be if she didn't have that mentality? Because she can play. She plays all the time. Nobody watches.
A.L. Wilson's defense by Natalie wasn't only about basketball. It was also about promoting the notion that some players ought to be at the top no matter what. Whatever their influence or stats, it was about making sure that a player who fit in would continue to eclipse Clark's success. This is Natalie's ideal representation of what a WNBA superstar ought to look like, where Aya Wilson's dominance in a game is the clearest indication of her hypocrisy. Chelsea Gray is hailed as the best point after she makes a spectacular pass. Position, but when Caitlin Clark demonstrates statistically that she is the NBA's most influential point guard. Suddenly, Clark's influence makes statistics irrelevant, and Natalie and others seek to change the topic. When revenue and viewership from ticket sales are disregarded, the intention is to completely eradicate. Support someone else in place of Caitlin Clark from the narrative, even when the statistics don't support it.
I love my teammates so much that I will take any hit from them. Good, bad, ugly. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna try to be the best. I get y'all saying best player in the world. That's great. It looks great.
I think it's a huge thing. I think a lot of people say it's not about black and white, but to me, it is. It's really because you can be the top notch at what you do as a black woman, but maybe there's something that people don't want to see. Wilson said to the Associated Press.
One of the more interesting aspects of this fanhood is that some of the biggest supporters of Caitlin Clark are not whites. They're actually black males.
However, the truth is that she won't confront Caitlin. No amount of biased reporting can change the fact that Clark is already among the best the WNBA has ever seen. Shift that even renowned basketball players, such as Coach K of Duke, have openly claimed that, in terms of offensive creation, Clark is the greatest point guard in league history. It's an evaluation from one of the most reputable people in the sport, not just any old viewpoint, but
Us as black women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, it's just not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball. And, like, she understands her privilege and like, pushes her over the top in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's a compliment.
And I think in overall popularity, does her race play a factor? Nominal. Women's basketball has had a cornucopia of talented white and black women's basketball players. Elena Delle Donne is white, is she not? Sue Bird, white, is she not? Asia Wilson's black. Cynthia Cooper, black. Like, you can go back through, and it's actually a lot more. There's gay and there's straight. There's black and there's white. There's tall and there's short.
Natalie is unconcerned. Regarding professional opinions, statistics, or the facts, what matters to her is promoting a storyline that prevents Clark from getting the recognition she merits, and the WNBA isn't the only one doing this. Together, the media and certain athletes have minimized Clark's accomplishments while praising others. Reveals a definite agenda.
Jealousy and envy and delusion all mixed together. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're delusional. People are watching these games because of Caitlin Clark. Oh boy, if I say what I really think, these black women and these feminist white women are not going to sleep with me. And I may lose my job. They're going to come after my job. We're not in position to say, shut up.
36 million she drove to Indianapolis just by showing up as a rookie and making history. And so I understand her point of view. She wants to probably let other athletes shine. And she also says, like, it's earned, not given. There are other people that can use that spotlight to compete as well. So I think Caitlin, she moves because she knows people follow her no matter where she goes. And she's very strategic about dictating where her value is.
Would Natalie be black if Caitlin Clark were? Still be so keen to downplay her accomplishments? Would Aya Wilson continue to discuss the effects of race? Media attention? Or would they both be praising her as one of the league's finest young stars ever?
She could have just said, hey, y'all lay off Caitlin Clark, let's embrace her. But nope, her frail-ass ego was jealous of Caitlin Clark's popularity.
There is no denying Caitlin Clark's hypocrisy. Nothing but perform the best she can, setting records, enhancing her team, and boosting the WNBA as a whole in the procedure. But rather than receiving recognition for it, she is continuously questioned, criticized, and she is always under pressure to perform in ways that other athletes, like Natalie Esquire and Aya Wilson, never do. Wish to recognize Clark's excellence, as doing so would entail acknowledging that a white athlete has transformed the WNBA in a manner that no one else has, even while acknowledging Clark's. Her fame is due only to her talent, not to her color or the prejudice of the media. Pure basketball brilliance, which is too much for people like Natalie to bear. But there is some good news. Truth doesn't require their consent. Caitlin Clark's influence is genuine, and no amount of deceit can negate it. Is the WNBA spokesperson, regardless matter how much Natalie and Aya Wilson want to. Control the narrative since the facts will always be more powerful than their politically motivated viewpoints.
Caitlin Clark agent named Aaron Kane is calling for higher WNBA salaries in the midst of the WNBA. It is the Caitlin Clark effect, I do believe, that has helped to elevate the entire league. So when you look at the salaries league-wide, including Caitlin Clark's, they're very embarrassed.
There is more to Caitlin Clark's influence on the WNBA than her numbers or. The league as a whole benefits from her ability to dominate on the court, but even with her unquestionable accomplishments, yet others like Natalie Esquire refuse to recognize Clark's economic revolution. Instead of rejoicing over Clark's accomplishment of elevating the NBA's profile on his own, the ticket sales increased revenue from items and attracted millions of new sports enthusiasts. Natalie and her supporters are still working to minimize her importance.